Adolf Hitler, one of the most notorious dictators in history, was born on April 20, 1889, in the small town of Brauneimen, located on the border between Austria and Germany. He was the third child of Alois Hitler and Clara Hitler, née Pölzl. Hitler's childhood was marked by poverty and hardships. His father, Alois, was a customs official and frequently changed jobs, leading the family to move often. Adolf attended elementary school in various cities, but as a student, he was not particularly successful. He showed an affinity for art and painting, but his parents did not support this passion, which led to his first conflicts with authority. After completing elementary school, Adolf expressed a desire to become an artist and attempted to enroll in the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. However, he was rejected twice, which deeply disappointed him and marked a turning point in his life. During this period, he lived a modest life in Vienna, surviving as a homeless person and selling postcards to make ends meet. Adolf was a fervent nationalist and developed a deeply rooted hatred towards the Jewish community. His anti-Semitic beliefs stemmed from prejudices and stereotypes he was exposed to during his upbringing. His political views and extreme right-wing ideology gradually developed and solidified during these early years. After his mother's death in 1907, Adolf became even more isolated and suspicious of the world around him. He moved to Munich, Germany, in 1913 to avoid compulsory military service in Austria-Hungary. During World War I, he voluntarily enlisted in the German army and fought as a soldier. World War I had a significant impact on Hitler. He was wounded and received the Iron Cross for bravery on the battlefield. The war experience further reinforced his nationalist feelings and convictions. After the war's end, Hitler returned to Munich and continued his involvement in politics. He soon joined the National Socialist German Workers' Party, NSDAP, which became known as the Nazi Party. His charisma and rhetorical skills quickly distinguished him within the party, and the rise of this controversial leader began. Adolf Hitler's journey from a young, ambitious artist to a powerful political leader was paved with a series of events and experiences that shaped his political views and transformed him into a figure who would forever change the course of world history. The path to power of Adolf Hitler was long and complex, marked by a series of key events and strategies that enabled him to become the leader of Nazi Germany. Here are the basic steps on that journey. Early involvement in politics. After World War I, Hitler became increasingly politically active and joined the National Socialist German Workers' Party, NSDAP, which he later renamed the Nazi Party. His rhetorical skills and charisma quickly set him apart within the party. 2. Establishment of the Nazi Party. In 1920, Hitler participated in the establishment of the Nazi Party and became its leader in 1921. The party promoted nationalist and anti-Semitic ideologies, attracting support from a dysfunctional and dissatisfied German population after the defeat in World War I. Beer Hall Putsch. In November 1923, Hitler attempted a coup known as the Beer Hall Putsch to seize power in Munich, but the coup was brutally suppressed, and Hitler was arrested and sentenced to prison. During his time in prison, Hitler wrote his autobiography Mein Kampf, which became the ideological manifesto of the Nazi Party. Legal path to power. After the failed coup, Hitler realized that a legal path to power would be more effective. He patiently built support, using propaganda and rhetoric to attract broad masses. Through parliamentary elections and political maneuvers, the party became increasingly popular. Appointment as Chancellor. In January 1933, President Paul von Hindenburg appointed Hitler as Chancellor of Germany, believing he could control him. However, Hitler quickly used this position to remove political opponents and strengthen his power. Dictatorial rule. After the Reichstag fire in February 1933, Hitler used the situation to push through the Enabling Act, which gave him the authority to enact laws without the approval of Parliament. This marked the end of democracy in Germany, and Hitler became an absolute dictator. Elimination of opposition. Hitler used brutal methods to eliminate political opponents and any form of dissent. Thousands of people, including political opponents, intellectuals, and Jews, were persecuted, imprisoned, and killed in concentration camps. Propaganda and indoctrination. Hitler utilized a powerful propaganda machine to manipulate the masses and create a cult of personality around himself. Indoctrination of the youth through organizations like the Hitler Youth aimed to create fanatical followers. Expansion and war. Hitler's policy of external expansion and territorial conquests led to the outbreak of World War II in 1939, making Nazi Germany one of the most powerful forces in Europe. The path to power of Adolf Hitler was characterized by manipulation, violence, and strategic moves that led to the rise of one of the most dangerous and controversial leaders in history. His rule remains a symbol of totalitarianism and a warning about the dangers of unchecked power and ethical values. The Nazi regime. The Nazi regime, also known as the Third Reich, encompassed the rule of the Nazi Party in Germany from 1933 to 1945, when Adolf Hitler held power as its leader and dictator. This period was marked by totalitarian control of the state, aggressive expansionist policies, racism, anti-Semitism, and a vision to create a Nazi world where Aryans would be the superior race. Hitler gradually introduced the Nazi regime after becoming Chancellor of Germany on January 30, 1933. His rise to power was the result of political maneuvers, propaganda, violence, and manipulation. World War II. The initial moves of Nazi Germany in World War II were aggressive and designed to secure swift conquests and expand German influence on the European continent. Here are the key initial moves of Nazi Germany at the beginning of World War II. Invasion of Poland, September 1, 1939. Under the leadership of Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany executed a rapid and powerful invasion of Poland using the Blitzkrieg or lightning war tactic. This attack was a decisive moment that led to the outbreak of World War II, with Britain and France subsequently declaring war on Germany. Soviet invasion of Poland, September 17, 1939. 1 week after the German invasion, the Soviet Union under Joseph Stalin also attacked Poland, carrying out a secret pact with Germany known as the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. This dual invasion resulted in the partition of Poland between Germany and the Soviet Union. Invasion of Denmark and Norway, April 1940. Germany swiftly invaded Denmark and Norway to secure control over important maritime routes and resources. These invasions provided Germany with greater access to the North Atlantic and crucial sea lanes. Invasion of the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg, May 1940. Germany launched an offensive in Western Europe, quickly conquering the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg, and then advancing toward France. Battle of France, May-June 1940. After a rapid victory over the Benelux countries, Germany turned its attention to France. The German army used rapid maneuvering tactics to bypass the Maginot Line and swiftly conquered France. France fell quickly, and its government relocated to Vichy France, which was under German control. These initial moves of Nazi Germany allowed significant territorial gains and expansion of its influence in Europe. However, later in the war, Nazi Germany faced resistance from the Allies, and its aggressive policies led to devastating consequences for Europe and the world. The path to defeat. The path to the defeat of Nazi Germany in World War II was long and challenging, marked by a series of decisive battles and losses for Germany. Here are the key events and stages that marked Nazi Germany's journey towards ultimate defeat. Battle of Stalingrad, August 1942 to February 1943. The Battle of Stalingrad marked a turning point in the war. The German army attempted to capture Stalingrad, a crucial industrial city in the southeastern Soviet Union. However, Soviet forces put up fierce resistance, and German troops became trapped in a siege. In February 1943, the Germans were forced to withdraw, signifying the first major military defeat for Germany in the war. Allied invasions, 1944. The Allies launched a series of invasions to liberate occupied European countries. Operation Overlord, also known as D-Day, was a key Allied landing on the beaches of Normandy on June 6, 1944. The Allies established a strong foothold and began the liberation of Western Europe. Eastern Front and Soviet Offensive, 1944 to 1945. On the Eastern Front, the Soviet Union launched a massive offensive and exerted immense pressure on Germany. The Red Army advanced towards Berlin, facing fierce resistance from the Nazi military. Bombing of German cities. The Allies conducted intensive air bombardments of German cities, inflicting significant damage to Germany's industry, infrastructure, and civilian population. Hitler's suicide, April 1945. Encircled by Allied forces and facing inevitable defeat, Adolf Hitler committed suicide in his underground bunker in Berlin on April 30, 1945. Final surrender, May 7, 1945. After Hitler's death, on May 7, 1945, Germany surrendered, officially ending the war in Europe. Nazi Germany suffered a final defeat after 6 years of war, and World War II in Europe came to an end. This war left lasting consequences for Europe and the world, but it also marked the demise of the Nazi regime and the cruel policies it had implemented. The Holocaust. The Holocaust in Nazi Germany represents one of the most tragic and horrifying events in human history. It was a systematic genocide and mass killing of Jews and other minority groups carried out by Nazi Germany and its allies during World War II. This dreadful event involved the planned and systematic extermination of millions of people in specially designed concentration camps, labor camps, and extermination centers. Adolf Hitler and his Nazi collaborators developed a policy based on an extreme racist ideology. According to the Nazis, Jews, Roma, Slavs, homosexuals, disabled individuals, and others considered undesirable or inferior were labeled as non-Aryan and enemies of the German people. The Nazi regime gradually stripped these groups of their rights, culminating in the planned final solution, known as the Holocaust. During the period between 1941 and 1945, Nazi Germany orchestrated the deportation and mass killing of millions of Jews. Concentration camps and extermination camps became sites of unspeakable suffering, extreme abuse, starvation, and murder. Poisonous gases like Zyklon B were used for mass killing in gas chambers, while others were shot or tortured to death. The most infamous and deadly concentration camps such as Auschwitz, Treblinka, Sobibor, and Majdanek became symbols of Nazi Germany's cruelty and industrial-scale mass murder. It is estimated that over 6 million Jews, along with millions of other minority groups, were killed during the Holocaust. The Holocaust left an indelible mark on world history and serves as a reminder of the horrors that can arise from fanatical hatred, intolerance, and totalitarian regimes. Remembering this tragedy serves as a warning that we must all strive for human rights, tolerance, and peace to ensure that such a horrific crime against humanity never happens again. Defeat and death. Adolf Hitler, the leader of Nazi Germany, committed suicide in his underground bunker in Berlin on April 30, 1945, ahead of the fall of Berlin and the imminent end of World War II. His act of suicide is considered the end of Nazi rule and the cruel policies he enforced. After learning of the Allied invasion on the beaches of Normandy on June 6, 1944, known as D-Day, Hitler realized that defeat was inevitable. With constant pressure from the Red Army in the east, Berlin became the main battleground in the war's final days. When it became clear that defeat was unavoidable, Hitler decided to commit suicide to avoid falling into the hands of the enemy. In the late evening of April 29, he married his longtime partner Eva Braun. The next day, April 30th, at 3:30 p.m., Hitler and Eva Braun committed suicide. Hitler shot himself, while Braun took cyanide. Their bodies were burned when members of Hitler's security detail set them on fire to prevent them from falling into the hands of the Allies. Adolf Hitler's suicide marked the end of the Nazi era and Nazi Germany. The conclusion of World War II in Europe followed a few days later, and the world witnessed the final demise of the Nazi regime.